They called him the Crimson Demon of War. Draped in red armor, 6 copper coins emblazoned on his banner, not a symbol of wealth, but of death. 6 coins to pay the toll to cross the river into the afterlife. His name, Sanada Yukimura. To some, a minor warlord. To others, the bravest samurai Japan had ever seen. And to Tokugawa Ieyasu, the man who would unify the nation, Yukimura was the nightmare that nearly unraveled it all. This is the story of how one man, outnumbered and outgunned, carved his name into the bones of history. Yukimura wasn't born a hero. In fact, he wasn't even born Yukimura. His birth name was Sanada Nobushige, the second son of the brilliant strategist Sanada Masayuki. The Sanada clan was small, nestled in the mountainous region of Shinano, caught between titans, the Tokugawa, the Uesugi, the Hojo. The Sanada survived not by power but by cunning. Masayuki taught his sons that loyalty was a tool, not a virtue. When the tides of war shifted, so too did the Sanada allegiance. It was this survival instinct that led to their greatest gamble, opposing Tokugawa Ieyasu at the Battle of Sekigahara in 1600. Masayuki and Nobushige sided with the Western Army, led by Ishida Mitsunari. His elder brother, Nobuyuki, sided with the East and Tokugawa. A calculated division. Whichever side won, the Sanada name might live on. But the Western Army lost. Masayuki and Nobushige were exiled to Mount Koya. There, for 14 years, Nobushige lived in obscurity, perfecting his knowledge of war, living among monks and waiting for the world to need a warrior again. And then in 1614, that moment came. Osaka, the final stronghold of the Toyotomi clan, once led by the legendary Hideyoshi, now ruled by his son, Hideyori, a boy with more blood than power. Tokugawa Ieyasu, now retired but still pulling the strings of government, saw Hideyori as a threat to the peace he had constructed. A war was inevitable, and Hideyori needed a miracle. He got one, Sanada Yukimura. Yes, by then, Nobushige had adopted the name Yukimura, perhaps to mask his identity, perhaps to signal a rebirth, but more likely to show he had become something else entirely, a symbol. When he entered Osaka Castle, the atmosphere changed. Veterans stood taller. The fearful found courage. He wasn't just a commander. He was legend, alive and breathing. Yukimura took command of the castle's southern defenses. There, he built what would become his masterpiece, the Sanada Maru, a fortification so formidable it stunned even the Tokugawa engineers. In the winter campaign of 1614, Tokugawa launched an all-out siege. Cannon fire, tunneling, infantry assaults. None could breach the Sanada Maru. Yukimura turned the tide of every encounter. He even led night raids on enemy camps, personally engaging frontline troops. His tactics were sharp, his spirit sharper. But politics, not war, would end the siege. A truce was called. The outer defenses, including Sanada Maru, were demolished. But Yukimura stayed. He knew the peace was an illusion, and in 1615 the Tokugawa returned for the summer campaign. This time, they came to end the Toyotomi and Yukimura for good. What followed was a series of brutal skirmishes. The Tokugawa forces numbered over 150,000. Osaka had less than 60,000 defenders. The odds were impossible. Yukimura, already ill, rose from his futon each day to don his armor. His hair had grayed, his body weakened by years of exile and battle. But his eyes still burned. He formed a unit of elite shock troops, the Red Brigade. Clad in crimson, they fought with terrifying resolve. Their goal? 1. Reach Tokugawa Ieyasu himself and end the war in one stroke. On the morning of June 4th, 1615, the plan was put into motion. The Battle of Tennoji. Yukimura led the charge, mounted, lance in hand, his banner fluttering in the wind. The Red Brigade smashed through the Tokugawa vanguard. They didn't fight to win. They fought to die gloriously. And die they did, but not before Yukimura reached within striking distance of Ieyasu. Historical accounts vary. Some say he collapsed from exhaustion. Others claim he was wounded multiple times, yet fought on. One record tells of a final breath taken under a pine tree, where he told a passing soldier,
"我は真田幸村なり、家康に告げよ。最強の敵と相まみえたとな."
What is certain is this. Tokugawa Ieyasu, upon hearing of Yukimura's death, did not rejoice. He was shaken, deeply. So shaken, in fact, that according to multiple sources, the great unifier of Japan fell into a state of shock. His retainers feared he might not recover. He would die a year later. Yukimura, in death, had accomplished what no army could. He had pierced the soul of the shogun. Today, statues of Sanada Yukimura stand across Japan. His 6-coin crest is etched into souvenirs, anime, and even strategy games. But behind the legend is a man who made a choice few ever do. To fight a war he knew he couldn't win, to give hope when all was lost, to die so that others might remember what courage looked like. And so, as the flames consumed Osaka Castle and the Tokugawa banners rose in victory, one banner still fluttered in the smoke, red, defiant, eternal. 6 coins, 1 soul, and a name that even time cannot bury. Sanada Yukimura, Japan's greatest soldier,